Hello, everyone. My name is Megan Meadows, and I'm the Director of the Division of Energy Assistance within the Office of Community Services, or OCS, in the Administration for Children and Families. On behalf of the division, I'd like to welcome you to today's webinar on using the Low Income Home Energy Assistance Program, or LIHEAP, Performance Management website. Today's webinar is being presented by Melissa Torgerson from Verve Associates, Dan Bausch from Apprise, and 3 members of the LIHEAP Performance Management and Implementation Work Group, Michelle Gilham from the Arkansas Department of Energy and Environment, Richard Giddings from the Vermont Department of Children and Families, and Lisa Gobin from Oregon Housing and Community Services. Next slide, please. For today's webinar, we are excited to share information with you about the LIHEAP Performance Management website, or the PMW. The PMW is a specialty website created to help grant recipients, policymakers, and other stakeholders access and use performance management information and historic LIHEAP performance management data. The purpose of this webinar is to explain why there are 3 distinct LIHEAP websites funded by OCS, provide an overview of the LIHEAP PMW and its primary contact, and highlight several of the website's most important tools and resources for the LIHEAP program managers and staff. The audience for today's webinar is state, territory, and tribal LIHEAP coordinators and their staff. We will be hosting another webinar on this website for other LIHEAP stakeholders, such as local agencies, utility companies, and others. That webinar is October 22nd and was announced recently by our office. Today's webinar is 45 minutes, and the slides are available to download and the handout sidebar. This webinar is being recorded and will be made available on the ACF YouTube channel to view and share with others. Next slide, please. We encourage you to ask questions in the GoToWebinar question box found at the bottom of the sidebar, which is also shown here. Questions will be reviewed and responded to at the end of the webinar or via email. Next slide. Here's a short outline for today's webinar, and we greatly appreciate you joining us today and hope our presentation will help you get the most out of the LIHEAP Performance Management website. With that, Melissa, please take it away.
Thanks, Megan. Welcome, everyone. I'm Melissa Torgerson, and I work with Apprise, who's one of the contractors that provides technical support to OCS and to grant recipients. And as Megan mentioned, there are 3 unique LIHEAP websites. And so to start, I'm going to be explaining why OCS has funded 3 separate sites and the purpose of each of them. So the first we're going to talk about is the federal LIHEAP page, and this is on the HHS, or Administration of Children and Families website. And this site includes the LIHEAP statute and regulations, official reports from OCS, and contact information for federal staff and LIHEAP grant recipients. Now, this is where OCS stores documents that furnish official guidance regarding program rules and regulations and policies. And these are also known to many of you as information memoranda, action transmittals, and dear colleague letters. This site also has training and toolkits and dashboards and a whole myriad of other resources to help you manage your programs. Next, we have the LIHEAP Clearinghouse. Now, the Clearinghouse was designed by OCS and the National Center for Appropriate Technology, or NCAT, and it essentially serves as a repository for collecting and developing and organizing and sharing information about the design and implementation of each state, territory, and tribal LIHEAP program. The site also summarizes information on other low-income energy assistance and energy efficiency programs that complement services delivered by LIHEAP. Now, the primary goal of the LIHEAP Clearinghouse is to improve program management and foster cooperation among the low-income energy community. But even more important, it aims to provide greater access and more meaningful services to low-income and vulnerable community members. So to this end, the Clearinghouse hosts the National Energy Assistance Referral or NEAR service, and it also has a companion website, the Energy Help page, and this refers households needing assistance to a local LIHEAP office. And the star of our show today is the LIHEAP Performance Management website, and this website furnishes resources and tools to help program administrators and the public access data and resources needed for performance management. Now, almost all of you probably by now have heard of the LIHEAP Performance Management Implementation Work Group, or the PMIWG. This is a kind of a group of superstar state, tribal, and territory grant recipients who originally came together with OCS staff to develop LIHEAP performance measures, but they continue to work to improve LIHEAP performance management across the nation. And this work included developing this performance management website. We know that you all spend a lot of time compiling data and submitting reports annually to OCS, and OCS uses those to track national program impact and to respond to questions from leaders or to complete the annual reports to Congress. But this website was born out of the belief that reporting and data should be a two-way street, so that LIHEAP performance data is more accessible to all of you, not just to the OCS who you submit it to. And so in 2013, the website was made available to grant recipients, and then in 2016, it was made available to the public. Now, as Michelle will talk about shortly, next slide, please, the performance management website features the data warehouse, and this allows users to access over 20 years worth of national and state level LIHEAP data to build both standard as well as custom reports and tables and charts. But since the website was launched, it's expanded, and now it includes a comprehensive set of tools and resources, and these help you collect and analyze and use and talk about your data. So some of these include data reliability and next steps tools, and these help program managers improve the accuracy and reliability of the data they're collecting, but also evaluate their performance using that data. There are communication templates and executive summaries, and these help program managers present data to partners and talk about their data and their program and tell their LIHEAP story in a really clear and meaningful way. It also includes information on when and how to complete required grant recipient reports. Many of you are new and are coming into this program, and you know there are reports due. There's a lot of information about timelines, the steps to take to collect and compile the data, and when it's all due. The LIHEAP Virtual Library helps you to locate resources that you need to effectively manage your programs. And similar to the other websites, there's just a wide range of training and data case studies that furnish examples about how grant recipients use data for performance management. Now I'm going to hand it over to Dan Bausch of Apprise, who'll give you a more detailed overview of the website. Thanks.
Thank you, Melissa. Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining us today. So I'm going to provide you with an overview and show you some of the key sections of the performance management website, which was recently updated to improve the design and to add some new resources. This is the home page for the performance management website. On the bottom right of this slide, you can see the URL to get to the website. We'll also put that in the GoToMeeting chat here so that you can go to the website and bookmark it now if you don't have it saved already. There's a few important items we want to point out for you on the home page. First is at the top, you can see this blue bar. This blue bar is the main area that you go to navigate to different sections of the website. We're going to look at some of these sections together, but clicking home all the way on the left will always take you back to the main page that's shown here. Below the blue bar and the website description and title is the second feature we wanted to point out to you of the home page, and that's this rotating carousel at the bottom that tells you about different resources and sections of the website. It's a great source for information to find out more and to see different things that have been added or changed to the website. One of the most important areas of this rotating carousel is the What's New update, and that tells you what has been recently changed and also what resources are coming soon so that we can communicate with you the latest developments with the performance management website. On the right side of the home page, you'll see 3 icon buttons that are outlined here in the red box. These are really important icons and buttons that you'll see across the website on any page you go to. The yellow icon is for the National Energy Assistance Referral or NEAR hotline in case households that are looking for energy assistance end up on this website. They'll be able to see this icon. The second icon below that is for the LIHEAP Virtual Library, and Lisa's going to show you that resource in a few minutes. And then the bottom icon is a tool called the LIHEAP Website Navigator. Melissa talked about how there are 3 federal LIHEAP websites with different purposes, and this tool is to help you find information when you may not be sure of which website to go to and where to find it. Finally, we added a new item onto the home page here, and this is the most common links that has links to some of the main resources that are important that we find different grant recipients are asking about or looking for. And so we encourage you to look here if you're trying to find something and are not sure where to go. A lot of the key resources will be in this list. So the first section of the website we want to show you is the publications section. This has information and links to the published annual LIHEAP report to Congress and the LIHEAP Home Energy Notebook that OCS completes each year using the data you submit and census and other data. These reports provide a wealth of information on LIHEAP and on low-income home energy needs and trends, and they can be found here as well as on the OCS LIHEAP website. The next section is the data warehouse. This is where you can go to access state-level annual data, create and generate tables, and also create reports that you can save and download with those data. There's also resources to help you with using the warehouse and understanding data sources, and we're going to look at this in a few minutes together. The next key section of the website is the performance measures page. This page is a one-stop location to find out about the LIHEAP performance measures that currently state grant recipients submit data for, to find and access that performance measures information, and to use different tools that have been developed by the performance management work group that Melissa mentioned earlier to help understand and use that data. So if you're a newer state LIHEAP coordinator or staff, this is a useful resource. The next key section is program resources. This was formerly known as grantee resources. This was a page designed specifically to help LIHEAP program managers and coordinators find information about the annual reports that are required by HHS, to find case study examples and vignettes on different ways that programs are using their data and approaching performance management, and to locate and use tools and training resources for program improvement. So this is the program resources portion of the website. Now there's one other important feature of the website we wanted to show you today, and that's this login link at the top right. The performance management website is a public website, and each of those sections I just showed you are publicly available for you to access. But there are some tools and pages that are only available for grant recipients, and they require credentials and logging in. So if you need assistance with that process or want to know what's available, please reach out to us and we can provide you with that information. All right, I'm going to pass it along now to Michelle.
Thanks, Dan. Hi, everybody. I'm Michelle Gillum. I am from the Arkansas Department of Energy and Environment, and I'm going to walk you through some of those key resources in that data warehouse, that tab that Dan just showed you. So let's go to the next slide, please. We've got 3 ways that we can explore the data in the data warehouse. Today, we're going to look specifically at the grant recipient profiles, the standard reports, and the custom reports. 3 essential tools that are going to provide you different ways to analyze and present your LIHEAP program data. Together, these tools are going to make it easy to access, to understand, and communicate your vital program data, whether you're providing updates to stakeholders or just conducting your own in-depth analysis. So grant recipient profiles are comprehensive snapshots that summarize key metrics of a grant recipient's LIHEAP program. And one of the most useful applications of the grant recipient profiles is that it allows you to easily provide information to your administration or other stakeholders. The profiles metrics include such things as total funding, allocation of funds, the number of households served, the vulnerable populations served, average benefits, and historical data on funding. Now, every year, a prize creates a grant recipient profile for each recipient using data from the prior year's household report and grantee survey. Those of you working with our tribal and territory programs, those profiles are coming soon. So let's take a look at what one of those profiles actually looks like. This is the one from Arkansas from fiscal year 2023. On the left, you're going to see information about the program overall. For example, in FY23, you'll see that the total funding for Arkansas was about $54 million, and we served more than 69,000 households. Below that, you'll see that we serve 22% of our income eligible population of over 300,000. And below that, we've got how our funding has changed over the past 5 years. In the center, we're going to see how we obligated our funds to different program components. For example, you can see that we obligated 24% to heating assistance and 35% to crisis assistance. Below that, you're going to see the share of households served that have different types of vulnerable members. For example, you'll see that 33% of our households we served in FY23 had an elderly member, 13% had a young child, and 68% had at least one vulnerable member of any kind. Then we get to the very bottom. You see the number of households served and the average benefit for different assistance types. In Arkansas, we actually used this profile data to help our administration understand why we needed to adjust our benefits matrix. So one more thing to add about these grant recipient profiles, the FY23 profiles are available now, but if you have the necessary data available, a prize can go ahead and do an FY24 grant recipient profile. Now, when it comes to generating reports, you've got two different options where you can create a standard report or you can do a custom report. Your standard report is going to be a quick, reliable way. It's going to have predefined data presented through structured tables, charts, and insights. The reports are efficient and they're consistent, so it makes them perfect when you need a clear, straightforward look at the data. And within that, you can even choose from 3 different types of standard reports. There are single state reports, state comparison reports, and national reports. So again, with standard reports, you're getting structured, reliable insights that are ready right out of the box. But with custom reports, you get to be in control. Not only can you pick from a broader range of statistics, but you can also select multiple data fields and combine them all for more layered analysis. You can customize the title, the subtitle of the report, as well as the type of chart used to display your data. So the flexibility of your custom reports allows you to tailor that report to your unique needs. Whether you're looking to highlight key metrics for a specific audience or dig into those targeted insights, custom reports ensure you get the detailed, specific data you need to make informed decisions. And let's take a look here at a standard report. This is a standard report that shows the number of households that received heating assistance from FY21 through FY2023, broken down by vulnerability type. So the beauty of a standard report like this one is in just a few clicks, you can generate key metrics that are frequently requested. The reports present the data in a clear, easy to understand format, and it makes it simple to spot trends in your program. Plus, they're perfect for quickly sharing insights with your stakeholders who need detailed yet accessible overview of your program's performance. So while the standard reports are quick and easy to generate, they do come with limitations. For example, you can typically only focus on one metric at a time, and not all the program data is accessible. Plus, your customization options are pretty limited. So what if you want a more in-depth analysis or more detailed, nuanced view of your data? For example, what if we wanted to look at vulnerable households that received any type of assistance, not just those who received heating assistance? That's where our custom reports come in. So an example of that, you have two options. You can build a report from scratch, or you can customize a predefined standard report. So for instance, with this custom report, I started with the standard report that we just looked at, but then I replaced the statistics on vulnerable households that received heating to those for vulnerable households that received any type of assistance. The custom report also was allowed to create a title that more clearly described its focus and specified a time frame. It also allowed me to add a subtitle to give an extra level of detail for more clarity and context. Like I said, the custom reports let you dive deeper into your data and tailor your presentation to your specific needs. So the grant recipient profiles, the standard reports, and custom reports give you three powerful ways to explore and present key metrics and performance measures for your LIHEAP program. The tools are essential for offering grant recipients and stakeholders a clear, comprehensive view of critical program data and insights. Next up, Richard from Vermont is going to walk us through the PMW's Program Resources page. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, Michelle. Hi, everyone. I'm Richard Giddings, Vermont's LIHEAP Director, and I'll be discussing the Program Resources page on the LIHEAP Performance Management website. The Program Resources page provides a wide range of essential tools and materials to support the LIHEAP program administrators in effectively leveraging program management, including resources to help you complete required reports, ensure the accuracy and reliability of your data, make informed program decisions, communicate important LIHEAP data with stakeholders, and many other performance management activities. Today, we're going to focus on three key resources. First will be the Performance Measures Executive Summary. Second will be Required Report Resources. And the third is a letter template designed to effectively communicate with legislators, which is one of the several resources to help us talk about LIHEAP data with important stakeholders. The first tool I'm going to talk about today is the Executive Summary, a one-page snapshot of key performance measure data, including such as energy burden before and after LIHEAP assistance, the share of the home energy bill reduced by LIHEAP, energy statistics for higher burdened households, prevention and restoration of home energy services loss, equipment repair or replacement, and more. Essentially, the executive summary answers two important questions. Does your LIHEAP program furnish higher benefits to higher burdened households? And does your LIHEAP program pay a larger share of the home energy bill for higher burdened households? This is Vermont's executive summary for fiscal year 2023. You can see in the top left how it provides information on key performance indicators that answer those two questions. For the first question, does LIHEAP furnish higher benefits to higher burdened households? In Vermont's case, the answer is yes. Higher burdened households receive a benefit that is about 40% higher than the average benefit received by all households. For the second question, does Vermont pay a larger share of the home energy bill for higher burden households? Again, for Vermont, the answer is yes. The higher burden households receiving a benefit that cover about 43% of their bill on average, compared to 41% for all other households. The executive summary also provides a chart that displays the metrics that underpin these two key indicators. Comparing these metrics across all households and high burden households, these metrics such as average energy bill, income, benefit amount, the percent of energy bill paid by LIHEAP, and the energy burden before and after receiving LIHEAP. Finally, on the lower half of the executive summary, there's information about prevention and restoration of home energy services. In Vermont, we use this information to really look at who we're serving and how can we hit those households that we're not currently serving. So it is important to see we are often looking to brainstorm ways to better serve households. The PMW has numerous resources that can help you complete reports required by OCS. To access these from the program resource page, click Required Reports. This takes you to a separate page that has training materials for completing each of the required reports. There is an overview of reports, including a summary of requirements, key due dates and deadlines, and a guide that explains how all these reports fit together, and information on how to use the Online Data Collection System, or OLDC, to submit your reports. For each report, you can find a few different types of resources, including the most common recent action transmittal from OCS, instructions on how to complete the report, an FAQ, a checklist on what you need to review before submitting your report, and of course, the actual form you need to fill out. Apprise also hosts training webinars on each report every year, and recordings of the most recent ones are available under the tab for most recent reports. Additionally, you can find all report webinars under the Performance Management Training Resource tab back on the program resource page. Each report training webinar is an hour long and goes over valuable information such as an overview, history and purpose of the report, what's new in the report for this fiscal year, what data are needed to complete the report, section by section instructions for completing the report, what the report review process entails, and additional resources and contact information if you need additional help. The PMW also has several valuable resources to help you talk about LIHEAP data with relevant stakeholders, including a separate letter templates with talking points for subgrantees, energy vendors, and legislators. Let's take a closer look at the template with talking points for legislators. Each template is designed to be a highly effective communication tool that highlights the data and information about your program most relevant to the target audience. The template for talking points to the legislatures, for example, is written to communicate key program outcomes and impacts and highlight the benefits of LIHEAP to secure support and demonstrate program effectiveness. To use the template, you simply replace the placeholder with information specific to your program where indicated. And the template makes it really easy for you and even tells you where your performance measures form. You can find the relevant data points for a given placeholder. Finally, each template also provides a link to PMW so your target audience can find more information. If you are interested in learning more about how to use these communication templates, Apprise has 10 time slots available for one-on-one training sessions. You can contact Nicholas at Apprise to schedule one of these sessions if you're interested. Once again, I am Richard Giddings, and it was my pleasure to walk you through the amazing resources of the program resource page. I'm now going to hand this over to Lisa, who will show you how to use the LIHEAP virtual library. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, Richard. Hi, everybody. My name is Lisa Gobin-Tony-Nato, and I am the Senior Energy Programs Compliance and Policy Officer at Oregon Housing and Community Services. I am also a member of the LIHEAP Performance Management Implementation Work Group. Today, I'd like to walk you through another tool you can use to locate important resources. It's called the LIHEAP Virtual Library. The LIHEAP Virtual Library is a valuable tool for grant recipients and can help find resources tailored to the seeker's specific needs. It offers not just basic technical assistant resources, but also highlights where performance management overlaps with the day-to-day administration of the LIHEAP program. From the LIHEAP homepage, you will want to click on the LIHEAP Virtual Library icon, which is on the right side of the LIHEAP Performance Management website. It will be there throughout the entire website. Here, we have the LIHEAP Virtual Library homepage. As I mentioned previously, the LIHEAP Virtual Library is a great tool that allows you to identify important technical assistance resources according to the program area that you're most interested in. If you would please click on the main LIHEAP Programs Basics bubble, we will see that it is surrounded by other bubbles for different LIHEAP program areas. You can click each of these bubbles to find more information about the topic area. Now, let's see what happens if we click on the main Program Basics bubble in the middle, which I already did. I jumped the gun there a little bit. Okay, so the information about the program area we click on pops up on the right-hand side. For the Program Basics bubble, at the top, we have a link to a snapshot for the program area, which is a page that provides a brief overview of the program area. More on that later. Below the snapshot link, there is a series of menu dropdowns, each with a question typically asked about for the program area. Each menu can be expanded to uncover a list of technical resources that address the respective question. Let's see what's on the Program Basics snapshot. This snapshot, like all others, will go into further detail about why the program area is important, to whom, how you can learn more, and the different ways you can use the resources provided. On this page, we learn what LIHEAP is, the rules that provide the framework under which the program is run, key resources. For example, a page with the LIHEAP statutes and another for LIHEAP grant recipient resources. Next, let's go back to the Program Basics page. As I mentioned before, there are a series of menu dropdowns with questions and their associated resources. If you have a question about the basic responsibilities under the law, you can expand that menu tab by clicking Expand and Collapse. And then you can find links to the LIHEAP Primer and LIHEAP Statute. One other feature of the LIHEAP Virtual Library is the toolbox. Beside each resource link, you can check a box to add it to your toolbox. By checking these boxes, you can save these resources that you have selected as you navigate across the website, and then download them all at once with the click of a button. Next, let's check out another bubble. This is the performance management bubble. Performance management is the process of gathering performance data for your program and using it to inform program decisions. If we go to the snapshot, here we can go into further detail about this program area. We learn that state grant recipients have been required to turn in performance data related to home energy burden targeting, the prevention of home energy loss, and the restoration of lost home energy service due to LIHEAP assistance. This is the data that is requested in the performance data form that state grant recipients are required to submit to OCS. Next, let's explore the resources for two more questions back on the performance management page. What are LIHEAP performance measures and why are they important? And what steps should I take to collect and report LIHEAP performance measure data? To answer the first question, we can look at the clearinghouse page with an overview on the LIHEAP performance measures, and the LIHEAP performance measures data collection guide to help answer our second question. And by clicking the checkboxes next to each resource, we can add them to our toolbox at the top so we can download them later along with the resources we previously added. That's my overview of the LIHEAP Virtual Library and how you can use it to find important resources related to the program area that you're interested in and any specific questions you might have. Now I'm going to turn it over to Dan, who's going to go over future improvements being made to the performance management website. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, Lisa. The performance management website is continuously being worked on and improved, and we wanted to tell you about some of the exciting items that we're planning and working on for the future. So first, if any of you who are attending today are tribal or territory grant recipients, we want you to know that OCS is working with us to look at your data and to prepare to add information and make it available on the LIHEAP Performance Management website. Melissa talked about data being a two-way street, and one item that we're working on is profiles similar to the profile that Michelle showed you for Arkansas for each tribal and territory grant recipient. We are also working on special profiles that look at how state grant recipients utilize the American Rescue Plan Act funds to document that information, since it cuts across multiple fiscal years. And then finally, the data warehouse has a number of standard reports, but we're also working to add additional standard reports based on feedback on what kinds of reports would be useful that we've heard from you and heard from others as well. With that, I'm going to turn it over to Melissa for final reminders.
Thanks, Dan. Hello again, everyone. I'm just going to give a few brief reminders before we turn to questions. Remember that on October 22nd, we're going to be hosting a similar webinar on this website. This will be open to partners and stakeholders. So if you know anyone else who might be interested or could benefit from learning about the performance management website, we encourage you to invite them. On October 31st, the prize will also be holding webinars for completing the FY 2024 household report, and there will be separate webinars for the long form report for states and select territories, and the short form report for tribes and select territories. Information was sent out about these webinars from OCS very recently. If you did not see that or would like more information, please reach out. We also encourage you to explore other webinars and presentations, which can be found on the OCS training resources website. And in particular, we want to highlight the 2 webinars we did about the LIHEAP Clearinghouse last month. Now, the PMW has other tools to help if you need additional help using the website. This includes the help page, and it includes tips for finding resources. And the help desk allows you to ask for one-on-one assistance from a prize. As Richard mentioned, a prize is also set up 10 time slots for one-on-one training sessions on how to use the communication templates, but we're also available to help you anytime with custom data needs or requests. So we encourage you to contact a prize, in particular Nicholas, who will give you his contact information shortly for more information. We want to thank you all again for attending, and we really look forward to seeing you at our future webinars. We really appreciate any feedback you have to improve our future webinars, and we hope you'll reach out with questions or feedback, and our contact information is here, and you can get a hold of any one of us. So finally, we're going to take questions. As Megan mentioned at the beginning, you can type them in the question box found at the GoToWebinar sidebar. If we don't have time to answer them during this webinar, we will follow up via email. And so I'm going to hand it over to Nicholas. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Melissa. So we do have a few questions. And the first one is, how do we get the actual data numbers from the data warehouse and not just charts? And I'm happy to answer that. So if you create a report, oh, someone like to jump in?
No, go ahead, Nicholas.
So if you create a report, a table appears below it with the numbers in the report. You can download that table. And in custom reports, you can also pick any data of interest and create a table to download and use also. And another question, I'm newer to my role. Are there any resources I should start with?
Hi, this is Dan. Yeah, there are definitely a few pages and areas of the performance management website that are particularly helpful if you're new and you're kind of getting acquainted with what performance management is or what the performance measures are. So if you reach out to us, we're happy to send you a list of them. Definitely the program resources and the LIHEAP virtual library that we showed during this webinar are good starting points that help kind of walk you through the process of finding information and finding the initial key resources.
Thanks, Dan. One other question, is there a page with webinars and slides from past trainings?
Yes, there's a one page that has all the past report webinars where there's training on how to complete required reports. But there's this page and it goes by year. And then there's also another page that has all of the performance measures training webinars. And that's on a number of different topics going back several years, like how to assess your data, how different grant recipients have used their data to look at their benefits matrix, things, all kinds of topics like that. So we encourage you to go check out these pages.
And we have a question about finding and using the grant recipient profiles and executive summaries.
So the profile documents and the executive summaries are in multiple places across the website to help people find them. The profiles are in the data warehouse. They're that first icon here, and you just click it, and then you can select the year and the state. As we mentioned, we're going to be adding these for tribes and territories in the future. The executive summaries use the performance measures data. So if you go to that page, you can find those as well. And as Richard mentioned, and I think also Michelle mentioned, if you are looking to have one of these with your more recent data from the most recent program year, 2024, we create these after you submit the reports to OCS. But if you have the information now and want help making one so that you can use it, internally, just let us know and we can help you with that.
And we have a question about the standard reports available on the data warehouse. What kind of standard reports can be made?
Oh yeah, if we go to the data warehouse, second one down is standard reports. You kind of pick which level you're interested in, but if we go to single state reports, that's usually the most common. So right now they're bucketed in these categories. So income eligible statistics, funding sources, how the fundings are used or obligated, who's assisted, energy burden. So you pick a category you're interested in, like we can pick who's assisted, and then you can look down and there's different options to select from. The image kind of tells you what kind of chart will be generated, but whichever one you pick, you get the chart, but below the chart, you'll also get the data table. You pick the state, then you pick the years of interest. If you scroll down here, there's all the actual data that's in the chart in this table, and you can export that. On the bottom, there's a button to export it to Excel or CSV.
And you can also customize the report from this page by just clicking Customize Report, and then it gives you access to a whole other host of data fields that you can combine in any way you want.
Right. All right, I think we're almost at time. Any last questions, Nicholas?
No, but we can certainly reach back out if anyone has any remaining questions they'd like to ask after the webinar.
Yep. So we have recorded this webinar. That's going to be added to that page of webinars we showed you a few minutes ago. If you need to go back and look at anything, we'll be putting it up there in the near future. We thank you for your time today. And again, if you need help with the performance management website or any of the resources we showed you today, please contact us and reach out. Thanks again for your time.